Welcome everyone. Yet another Cloud Solution Architect Career Series. In this, we will be talking about landing zone. For an organization, before deploying their first cloud application for production, it is important that we set the ground very clearly. And that depends on which industry and domain and what kind of business they do in their day-to-day basis. So imagine this cloud landing zone is like building an airport. Before you even thinking of buying an aircraft, you start thinking about where that will land. So you need to build an airport. That's what we are talking about. Now, it is beyond what you see in an application or the deployment or the infrastructure or the code, etc. It is about the compliance. It is about the certification. It is about the security. It is about the way of working. So imagine there's a bank, the financial industry, they do have to comply certain rules and regulations. So if you build a cloud landing zone based on those principles, any application coming into that landing zone will not require to do those basic stuff which otherwise every other application has to do based on the industry they do it. So imagine that everybody is going and purchasing a subscription for the public cloud and deploying their own application in that subscription. They have to follow all the things, go through number of audits, review number of times to make sure that they're done. So if you build a cloud landing zone where you allow all your application to land properly and you build the basic principle, the guardrail, the compliance, the restrictions, then it becomes easier for the application team to really focus on the business outcome, on the ease of use, etc., rather than thinking about the whole foundational part, which can be controlled once by a single cloud center of excellence kind of team. Now, there are three things we need to consider over here when we do that. The first thing is we need this before the application. So if you start designing about the application, ask this question: do you have that landing zone? And as an architect, you drive this conversation. You find that it's missing, they are probably doing it for the first time. Step back and make sure their CISO, CTO, CIO, all of them are in line with your thought and understand the importance of this project rather than going into a individual application, because it also depends on what is their point of view from a cloud adoption perspective. Are they going to adopt it immediately? Are they going to have a long-term plan? Or is it just a one-off application which probably they will run? Rest all will probably stay with their own data center. So that's what you need to figure out. So it's not always that landing zone may be a feasible solution but for a large organization, heavily regulated industries, it is absolutely important that we spend a lot of time and we drive this conversation. Second, is a domain compliance. So I gave an example about the financial industry. If you work in the retail industry, if you work in the healthcare, telecommunications, so each of these industries, they have their own set of rules and restrictions they need to comply with, be it on data, be it on what their certification. So if it is, let's say, a credit card payment gateway system you're building, you have to build this PCI DSS compliance. And then if you are into healthcare, you probably need HIPAA compliance. So all these are the compliances based on the domain you work on. And it is absolutely important that you bring in those business architects, the business analysts who understand their business very well. They need not be a technology specialist, but at least they need to be aware of it's important for them to land a new product. And the third thing is about security. So anything which goes into cloud is out of your hand. So you need to make sure that is highly, highly secure. So if you consider the public cloud as your landing zone, the public cloud is designed in such a way that security is in place, but they are like Lego blocks. Until unless you go ahead and pick them up for your application, they're not in action. So you have a lot of, let's say, native support within the public cloud environment to help you design your security. You can bring in your own security solution. You can have a security compliance review and do all sort of things. But the most important thing is that you need to have it as part of your design. You cannot just say that we'll look into the security later part of the project. Right now, let's focus on building the application. Let's have the first screen ready so that people can log in and then start using my application. No, that's not right thing to do. Security needs to be the most important aspect of your design solution. So make sure you have it at the first place. And if you see it is getting bypassed, put a hard stop and be the voice in the room. Tell them that it is important and we should not avoid that security conversation. In my experience, I have been working with cloud for a very long period of time. I've not seen any cloud discussion or deal has been through without security in place. People tried to avoid earlier days, but it got caught at the final desk and had to revisit, had to redo. So it's a time-taking activity. If you skip it at first place, you should not do that. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.